Hey, my name is Steph and I absolutely love reading otherworldly books. A lot more of you have joined since my last video, so hi and welcome, and I'm so glad you're here because 90% of what I want to do is to talk about books with other people who love talking about books, so here we all are together and that rocks. But today I wanted to share 3 of my current favorite queer sci-fi and fantasy reads. And yes, I said current favorite because I've read so many amazing queer sci-fi and fantasy books, and there's no telling how this list is going to continue to morph as I continue to consume amazing books. But these 3 books are incredible, and I truly believe that you're missing out if you don't give them a chance. First up is a book that is so very near and dear to my heart, and that's This Is How You Lose the Time War. You can see from all of my tabs how much I'm obsessed with this book. Sometimes I'll pick it up for a specific quote, and then oops, I'm reading the whole thing cover to cover once more. So this is about 2 enemy agents who are on opposite sides of a forever time war. They can move up and down through strands of time and land in specific moments, and then they make these little shifts, sometimes truly minute, that can change the course of the entire war in their present time. Blue is from Garden, which is this shape-shifting nature collective. Everything is organic and freeform. And red is from Agency, which is this techno-advanced society basically run by AI. They've been doing this dance, playing this sort of game together forever, with one getting a little advantage and then the other getting a little advantage. But then one day, one of the agents leaves a letter for the other. Is it a taunt, a distraction, or maybe just the start of the best love story I've ever read? We then continue on through mostly letters, and the way the letters are created and read will unmake you, like carved into the rings of a tree year by year as it grows. I mean, come on. And the prose is ridiculous and elevated and sob-inducing. But they are meant to be enemies, and so there's this shadow of danger at all times. You'll be wondering if they're going to be found out and how they can possibly keep going as their letters get more and more brazen and they fall deeper and deeper in love with each other. This book is like nothing I've ever read before, and I don't see how anything else could ever top it. The writing is absolutely over the top, so if you're not into that, then this is not the book for you. But I absolutely ate it up, and I feel like this book somehow altered every bone in my body. If you love letters, if you love poetry, if you love falling in love and the ridiculousness of falling in love, then this is the book for you. Next up, a book I read last month that is by far my favorite read of 2024 so far. This is The Spear Cuts Through Water. So very broad strokes, the book is about 2 warriors with complicated, dark pasts. One was a royal guard who had a revelation and feels deeply guilty about his past violence. The other is an outcast who's looked for his community and his people his whole life. Their whole country is under this absolutely brutal rule. So there's this nasty emperor and his sons, the 3 terrors, whose nicknames very much suit them. These sons rule the land with powers that they stole from an ancient moon god, who also happens to be their mother. When that god is freed, she takes on a fantastical and dangerous 5-day journey with these 2 warriors. She wants to both find her freedom and change the country forever. But that's only one of the layers in this story. The other is that there are a group of souls in the inverted theater who are watching a performance of this story. They've been brought here from across space and time through a dream to witness. And this is a story that's meant exactly for them in this moment, but they won't remember it when they wake up. So yeah, it's quite a plot, but it's such a beautifully constructed story that pushed all the boundaries of storytelling. It's a love letter to oral retellings and myth-making. Something really cool about this book is that the writing is communal. It goes back and forth between narrators, and it sometimes even switches POV from sentence to sentence. And I think it worked brilliantly. So you have to hold multiple planes of space and time in your hands. But once you go with the flow, I swear I could almost hear the voices out loud. Side note, I read a physical copy, but I'm really curious about how they tackle this in the audiobook. Anyway, it really was a performance because you as a reader are basically in the inverted theater. It's not exactly a charming view of humanity, but it shows how love and connection make life worthwhile. It really is a love story about 2 souls forging their way through violence together. It explores legacy and fate and how stories connect us all. I was fully in this book with my whole being. One last note about this one, I do link to content warnings in the description of the video, but if you do decide to pick this up, please know that there is graphic, ritualistic cannibalism. Okay, last but far from least, I want to talk about Light from Uncommon Stars. This book has a few different threads that all seem very far apart from each other, but I loved how they all came together. So there are 3 major players here. First, a master violinist must trade 3 musical souls to a demon in order to escape her own damnation. She's had 49 years to complete her contract, and now she's on her last soul, but she has to find the perfect prodigy to offer hell. Enter a young trans girl with a natural gift for the violin. She's run away from an abusive home, and she's looking for a community that will accept her and a place where she can practice and curate her music. And lastly, the captain of a starship had to flee her home planet and escape to Earth. She has to blend in order to outwit the people that are chasing her, and she does that by attempting to run a family donut shop. It's really amazing how these 3 stories blend together. It's so imaginative, and the cast is really wonderful. It's got all these quirky and contrasting tableaus that somehow work together perfectly. And there are so many exquisite descriptions of home, and how you can find belonging through art, including music and baking and craftsmanship. citizenship. I do want to be super clear and warn you all that this can be a challenging read. Katrina, who's the young trans runaway, has a powerful arc in the end, but for like 80% of the book, she lives in anguish and fear and self-loathing. There's also intense hate speech and transphobia in many forms throughout the book that she has to face. If reading about transphobia makes you feel unsafe, this may not be the book for you. Her arc is ultimately precious and happy, but it does take a long time to get there. However, one of my favorite book scenes of all time is the final performance in Light from Uncommon Stars. It was honestly transformative, like I've never seen anyone else write about music the same way. I felt immersed and held and captivated. The overall ending was a little cheesy, but I was grateful to be left with tender joy. So there you go, those are my 3 current favorite queer fantasy and sci-fi reads. Let me know if you've read any already, or if you plan on picking any of these up now. And like I said at the start, I love coming here to find other people who also love talking about books. And if you want to take that a step further, you're invited to my Bindery community. You can join for free, and it's a place that brings together my content across all platforms. It has this really cool searchable bookshelf feature where you can see a list of all the books I've talked about recently, and then if you click on any of the books, you can see all of the videos where I've talked about that book. And maybe best of all, there's also a Discord community for us. So if you want to chat more, I'm super active on there, and we have channels for book chats and general chaos and theater and crafting and all sorts of things. Oh, and pets, of course, there's a channel for pets. So all of that is free, but there's also a $5 a month option where you get access to tons of exclusive content, and you get a special channel within the Discord and lots more cool things to come. If my content is helpful or impactful to you in any way, that's the best way that you can support me, and I truly and deeply appreciate it. Thanks everyone, and see you next time.